Missing and Murdered Aboriginal Women and Girls. Native Women's Association of Canada, NWAC, has created a database of missing and murdered Aboriginal women and girls. NWAC has worked hard to research every case, yet they believe there are still many more cases to document. The statistics below are based on NWAC's database as of March 31st, 2010. NWAC has gathered information on about 582 cases of missing and murdered Aboriginal women and girls. Of these, 67% are murder cases, death as a result of homicide or negligence. 20% are cases of missing women or girls. 4% are cases of suspicious death, deaths regarded as natural or accidental by police, but considered suspicious by family or community members. 9% are cases where the nature of the case is unknown. It is unclear whether the woman was murdered, is missing, or died in suspicious circumstances. The number of missing and murdered Aboriginal women and girls in Canada is disproportionately high. NWAC's research indicates that between 2000 and 2008, Aboriginal women and girls represented approximately 10% of all female homicides in Canada. However, Aboriginal women make up only 3% of the female population. There are no national data sources regarding missing persons in Canada. This makes it difficult to look at the issue of missing Aboriginal women and girls in comparison to other missing women. The Saskatchewan Association of Chiefs of Police is perhaps the only policing body to publish statistics on missing persons. It reports that almost 59% of missing women and girls in Saskatchewan are of Aboriginal ancestry. Most of the cases in the database are from the last 10 years, but there are likely older cases. The oldest case in NWAC's database occurred in 1944, but most are much more recent. 39% of the cases in NWAC's database occurred between 2000 and 2010, and 17% occurred in the 1990s. In contrast, only 2% of the cases in the database occurred before 1970. This gap strongly suggests there are still many older cases to document. Where are their children? There's an intergenerational impact to this issue. Of the cases where this information is known, the vast majority of women in NWAC's database, 88%, are mothers. NWAC estimates that more than 440 children have been impacted by the disappearance or murder of their mother. Very little is known about what happens to these children following the loss of their mother. Most of the cases occurred in the western provinces. More than a quarter, 28%, of all cases occurred in British Columbia, followed by Alberta with 16% of cases. Overall, more than half, 54% of cases occurred in the west. 29% of the cases occurred in the south, Manitoba, Ontario, and Quebec. 6% took place in the north, and 2% took place in the Atlantic provinces. NWAC is still working to confirm where the violence occurred in 8% of cases. The majority of cases occurred in urban areas, but resources are also needed in rural and unreserved communities. Of the cases where this information is known, 70% of the women and girls disappeared from an urban area, and 60% were found murdered in an urban area. Only a small number of cases occurred on reserve, 7% of missing cases and 13% of murder cases. While the majority of cases occurred in urban areas, this violence often has a direct impact on rural or reserve communities. Most Aboriginal peoples living in urban areas maintain close ties to their home communities. The shock and grief of a missing or murdered community member impacts the entire community, no matter where the violence takes place. Nearly half of murder cases in NWAC's database remain unsolved. NWAC has found that only 53% of murder cases involving Aboriginal women and girls have led to charges of homicide. This is dramatically different from the national clearance rate for homicides in Canada, which was last reported as 84%. While a small number of cases in NWAC's database have been cleared by the suicide of the offender or charges other than homicide, 40% of murder cases remain unsolved. Clearance rates are low, but differ by province. NWAC has found that clearance rates range from a low of 42% in Alberta to a high of 93% in Nunavut. Higher clearance rates in the north may reflect the proportion of family violence cases in this region, and the fact that it is generally easier to lay charges when the offender is someone close to the woman, such as a partner or family member, than when the offender is an acquaintance or a stranger. Aboriginal women are almost 3 times more likely to be killed by a stranger than non-Aboriginal women are. Of the number murder cases in NWAC's database where someone has been charged, 16.5% of offenders are strangers with no prior connection to the woman or girl. In contrast, Statistics Canada reports that between 1997 and 2004, only 6% of murdered non-Aboriginal women were killed by strangers. 17% of offenders were acquaintances of the woman or girl, a friend, neighbor, or someone else known to her, and 23% are current or former partners of the woman or girl. NWAC's research confirms that Aboriginal women experience violence by both Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal offenders, and the vast majority of them are men. Here are some stories. Claudette's story. When Claudette laughed, she laughed from the belly. She had a big smile and contagious laughter. She found she could get anyone laughing. She had a good sense of humor and lit up a room when she came in. She was also a very strong girl, and she stood up for herself. When Claudette's disappearance was reported, sometimes they didn't even say her name in the headlines. Instead, her family read words like sex trade, drug addicted, and Aboriginal. That was tough for the family to deal with. It made it difficult to get society to see Claudette for who she really is. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister. The Eileen story. The Eileen's family wanted answers. They wanted to know what happened to the beautiful, compassionate, and outgoing woman who wanted to be a teacher, who loved to make people laugh, who had a passion for drama and fine arts. They wanted to know what happened to their beloved daughter, sister, mother, wife, and friend. The Eileen's family says the initial police response was like being shrugged off, brushed to the side. But they also want people to know that the Saskatoon Police Service and RCMP eventually launched an intensive investigation into Dayleen's disappearance. If it wasn't for their hard work, my daughter would never have been found, says Dayleen's mother. Terry's story. As a youth, Terry excelled in school. She was active in drama and choir and won first place in a school science fair. She was an artist and a writer and could speak French. Her teachers used to say, "I wish all my students were like her." Almost 8 years have passed and Terry's murder remains unsolved. Her parents try to stay positive, but the process is frustrating. They are sure that someone knows what happened to their daughter and are pleading for anyone with information to come forward. The silence needs to be broken. What can you do? Violence against Indigenous women and girls isn't just an Indigenous issue or a women's issue. It is a Canadian issue, and to end the violence, Each one of us must commit to taking action in our daily lives. What can you do? Take the pledge to end violence. Write a letter calling on Canada to close the funding gap to ensure safety and support for Indigenous women and girls escaping violence. Collect pledge signatures. Host a documentary screening of Highway of Tears. Attend an October 4th ritual.